everybody. Welcome to New Media Patriot Radio, the show about you, the concerned citizen, the silent majority, the politically incorrect, the social media patriot fighting every single day to restore American values and exceptionalism. We are now being syndicated via ICRN or conservativeradionetwork.com. Visit them today. They have a ton of other conservative talk shows, and become familiar with them. They're awesome. There's probably like 60 shows on that network now, so check them out, conservativeradionetwork.com. Also, I want to thank rebootingliberty.com for syndicating my show as well. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at thepatriot143 or on my show Twitter account at NMP Radio. Also, if you wanna be a guest on the show and you want to email me at newmediapatriot@gmail.com. I am your host, Chris, and the number to call is 347-338-1775. Again, to visit my website, don't forget to visit my website, newmediapatriotradio.com. We are looking for political bloggers. If you are a blogger and are looking to get some exposure on some of your writings, simply email us at newmediapatriot@gmail.com. So here we have it. Real crazy week. I mean, since the last time I spoke to you, the wheels are falling off. It seems like. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on in the in this election cycle. I mean, it's insane. And then it's interesting because a lot of times these radio show hosts, tell you, oh, when you call in, oh, don't put your conspiracy cap on, don't put your tinfoil cap on, this and that. But sometimes you have to sit back and you have to say to yourself, wait a minute, there might be something to this. And we're going to be, basically, and we're going to be talking about this throughout the show with my co-host, who I'm going to bring up on in a sec, Mr. Bill Mitchell. But guess who came out first? Right out of the gate, when the Corey Lewandowski story broke out today, it was none other than Ted Cruz. He was first out of the gate during the riots in Chicago. He was the first one out of the gate, after the Brussels attack. All to blame Donald Trump. You know what I mean? But he was the last out of the gate when it came to basically hit the podium and answer questions regarding his sex scandal. But again, like I mentioned, the wheels are falling off this campaign. And then you have Mama Bear Carly Fiorina, who comes out to defend Ted Cruz. You got to see the video. It is the most uncomfortable video you will ever see. We're going to be breaking that down and the theory behind why Heidi Cruz has suddenly vanished, and why Carly Cruz Carly Cruz. I'm already calling her Carly Cruz. Carly Fiorina has suddenly appeared by Ted Cruz's side. We're going to be talking about that, and at 7:20. With Daniel Lindsay, we're going to be talking about this interesting article or interview that was conducted by the people at the Gateway Pundit. They interview a quote-unquote operative and who says that Jeff Rowe, which is Ted Cruz's campaign manager, may have planted this story to the National Enquirer. We're going to be talking about that with Daniel Lindsay, I think around 7:20. But before we go any further, let me welcome in. Oh, and let's not forget Gary Wellings is going to be calling in from Radio Drift, Drift Radio. He's going to be calling in at 7:40. He's going to be talking about everything that's been going on today, all this week. But before we go any further, let's welcome in my co-host for the day, none other than Bill Mitchell. How you doing, Bill?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, man. So really not much going on, right?
No, yeah, it's been a little kind of sleepy today. I couldn't think of anything to tweet about, actually. It was a little frustrating.
It was so frustrating.
I thought maybe I should take a picture of my cat or something.
Yeah, it was so.
Maybe I should take a picture of my cat and put it on there because everybody likes that. So.
Yeah, it was so dull that it motivated you to make a YouTube video on your YouTube channel, which was awesome. If you haven't seen it, go visit Bill Mitchell's YouTube channel. I mean, I think it's already got close to 1,000 hits. He just posted it like 15 minutes ago. But tell us about what's going on with this Corey Lewandowski arrest, quote unquote arrest, like the mainstream media would have you believe.
Today was crazy. I kind of love days like today because I really had to go out there and fight the good fight. To overcome all the false media messaging that's going on out there. So, Anyway, what happened today with this whole Corey Lewandowski thing is, everybody knows the story from before. It seems like forever ago that Michelle Fields, this female reporter, accused Corey Lewandowski of assaulting her after a rally when she was trying to talk to, Mr. Trump. And she presented it as that, he grabbed me violently behind. It was all I could do to stand up. He tried to throw me to the ground. Campaign managers of presidential candidates shouldn't be throwing reporters to the ground. This was the worst experience of my life, other than my father dying. I mean, she went on Megyn Kelly and just put on the best, an Oscar-worthy victimhood performance, on there. I mean, the whole thing. And we thought it had gone away because she loved Breitbart. And I just thought she had, just crawled away, maybe gone to, liars rehab or something. I don't know, wherever people like that go.
Right.
And Ben Shapiro also left. Haven't heard much from him.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, today I get somebody sends me a message saying Corey Lewandowski arrested for battery of Michelle Fields. And I thought at first somebody was just trolling me. I thought it was a joke.
Right.
And so I Googled it, and I saw a couple different websites, and they were kind of obscure websites. I said, I hope these aren't like The Onion or something, where it's just, one of these parody websites, and then I'm going to post it in my feed and look like an idiot. So I didn't post it for a while, and then eventually I saw it on Drudge. It's like, well, if Drudge has got it, it's got to be true. So we looked into it, and it turns out that he wasn't actually arrested, that they, I guess, notified him that this was going down, and he was being charged with misdemeanor battery, okay, and that he needed to come down to the police department and, sign the paper or whatever, and they would give him a court date, all that. Okay, so that's what happened. And, it's just crazy because if you watch the videos of what took place, you're just like, it's the biggest nothing burger you ever saw in your life. As a matter of fact, I think that Corey Lewandowski may have actually saved Michelle Fields from being taken down by the Secret Service in a much more aggressive way, because she told everybody that Donald Trump approached her and she went to ask him a question, and then Corey grabbed her violently, pulled her away. But what you can see from the videotape is that she is the one that approached Mr. Trump. He was just walking by her, and she got very, very close to him. As a matter of fact, in one picture you can see she reaches out and touches her arm, and you can see Mr. Trump pulling his arm away from her.
Right.
At that moment, 2 Secret Service agents are reaching for her. Okay, she's probably within about a tenth of a second of being taken down.
Right.
Okay, because she's a person who is aggressively touching a candidate for the presidency. Just then, Corey sweeps in, kind of pulls her aside, and that's it. The whole thing maybe took a second or two.
It was ridiculous. I mean, and then you see you see the overhead footage, and it's ridiculous. If you listen to mainstream media, they would have you believe that that Donald Trump's campaign now beats women, and that Donald Trump forced Ted Cruz to have his sexual exploits. It's unbelievable. They spend maybe not even 2 seconds on what happened with Ted Cruz, which we're going to get into later on. But basically they blew this completely out of proportion. And if you look at the marks on her arm, I mean, you had somebody doing a video on how she basically could have done this to herself, because she was wearing a heavy, I mean, you said it in your video, she was wearing a heavy, jacket or something, that it was kind of impossible to make those. Go ahead.
The way that Corey reached out to her, you can see in the video, he's got his hand on the back of her upper arm. Right. Okay. And through a thick coat, the bruises on her arm are on her lower arm. And if you see the way the bruises are, the index finger is going to be the most powerful finger because we use it for everything, right? Okay, so if you look at the bruises on your arm, reach across with your own hand and touch your arm and see where the fingers rest. And then if you were to squeeze hard, the biggest bruise would be where your index finger is. And that's exactly where the bruises are on her arm.
Isn't it ridiculous?
I don't know. I don't have...
Isn't it ridiculous that we now have to... quote unquote, actually play this stupid childish game of this basically cat and mouse nonsense. I mean, when in actuality, I mean, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And here you have a nothing burger, like you said, of a story blowing up, and all these anti-Trump people, they're all out, in mainstream media, how they got to fire Corey, this and that. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous.
And the thing is, if you watch the videotape, it happened so quickly that it's not like Corey looked at Michelle Fields and say, "Oh, there's Michelle Fields. I'm going to go and assault her." Okay? It's from his angle where he was at, all he could tell was that a woman had approached Donald Trump and was standing too close to him, possibly touching him, and he didn't need to move her away. He probably has to do this constantly,
right,
as they walk through crowds. Right. I've been at 2 rallies where people are trying to get their signs signed and their books signed. Mm-hmm. It can get to be a little bit of a rugby scrum in there.
Right.
I've seen the Secret Service have to tell everybody, okay, calm down, back off. I mean,
considering
and the reason why when Corey said, let me finish with one thought. When Corey said, "I never touched her, I don't know who she is," and everybody's like, "Oh, he's lying. Look, he obviously touched her." He probably has to do this a lot. He didn't even look at her. He didn't know who he was, and it probably didn't even register in his mind that he had touched her because he didn't assault her. He just kind of moved her out of the way. So that's why he didn't remember. It probably has to happen a lot.
Yeah,
it's not assault. It's just protecting the future president.
And Donald Trump put out a quote unquote. He was actually being interviewed on his plane, I guess, on his way to Wisconsin for his rally. And right. I posted it on my Twitter account there, where he says, "Listen," he goes, "I supplied the video footage because there's nothing there. If you compare that footage with the footage that came out originally, where there was no expression change in her face, except for the fact that he kind of put her to the side so that she would get away from Donald Trump. There was no change. When someone pinches you, where you go, when you you have an expression in your face. There was none of that. There was none of that. She just kept looking forward, and that was it.
And she didn't. You know what? Here's another thing that just occurred to me. What's the first thing you do if you injure your arm or you injure a part of your body? You reach for it and rub it, right? Mm-hmm. You reach for that part of your body. And after that happened, she made no attempt. If he had injured her arm, as she said, she would have reached for it and held it like it was hurt. She did not reach for her own arm. She did not touch it. That is not when that bruising took place.
It's so infuriating. But what's more infuriating is that you have Ted Cruz, who the more. We're going to get into this now because I'm just like, I've had it with Ted Cruz and his political Harvard spin on everything and his political talk, and everything is calculated with this guy. And which is why I'm really like, I went from saying I'm going to vote for him regardless to going to the point where I'm going to hold my nose. Now I'm to the point where my wife's going to have to drag me to the polling box to vote for this guy, because he is such a worm. He's a worm. Here he is calling Donald Trump a coward for basically retweeting that photo of the wives. Meanwhile, he's the coward because he doesn't want to take responsibility for anything that ever happens in his campaign. He doesn't take responsibility for anything that happens in his campaign. And it's so frustrating to me. He's so blatantly hypocritical. I mean, he's attacking somebody unjustly while complaining about the unjust attacks. It's so mind-blowing that people actually believe this crap coming out of his mouth. I mean, it's just it's infuriating. But this all started, this all started from that photo, that ad that quote unquote his super PAC did just before the Utah voting primaries. This all started because of that, where he said, I think Donald Trump believed that Ted Cruz was behind it. And this is his quote. He says, "From what I hear, he and his campaign went out and bought the cover shoot. Melania did a story for GQ, a very strong modeling picture. No big deal," Trump said. But the big deal was how they tried to imply that she's not